Bitio from the Mobati clan was on the boat along with Sabo and 8 other men. It had been weeks on the boat that was supposedly transporting them to Belgium. Bitio was scared and restless due to the fact that everyone was saying they would be put on display like animals in a zoo. He felt helpless and weak. The conditions on the boat were extremely inauspicious, and he didn't feel very hopeful. He assumed it must be from seasickness, but the blood in his feces suggested otherwise. Unsettling silence was weighing down on Bitio's shoulders as he waited for his impending doom. The shore wasn't far, but Bitio's condition worsened over time. When they finally arrived on shore, Bitio breathed his last breath and gave his life to dysentery. Before King Leopold could put Bitio on display, he died on the first day of arrival from an untreated disease that wouldn't have been so harmful if not for the fact that there was no medical assistance on the boat. Leopold II of Belgium, who ruled the Congo Free State with an authoritarian grip from 1885 to 1908, is thought to have slaughtered up to 15 million people. But there was a moment, at the height of European imperialism in the African continent, when King Leopold II of Belgium ruled his own empire so enormous and brutal that its atrocities rivaled, and even surpassed, those committed by the greatest autocrats of the 20th century. Leopold II was without a doubt the slave lord of this dominion, which became known as the Congo Free State. For nearly 30 years, Congo was governed as this one man's personal possession for his own gain, rather than as a normal territory of a European government like South Africa or the Spanish Sahara. The largest plantation in the world at the time of the first census in 1924, only 10 million people were living there. It was 76 times the size of Belgium, had abundant natural and agricultural products, and had likely lost half of its inhabitants. The gruesome tale of King Leopold II and the Congo Free State is presented here. Men, women and children from the Congo were sent to Belgium's major towns between 1885 and 1958, a span of 2 years prior to Congo achieving liberation from Belgium. Many of those who were brought over by the colonists to be displayed would pass away en route or upon arrival as a result of the hardships of the protracted travel or susceptibility to unfamiliar European diseases. The goal of the human zoos was to showcase the work of civilization within the primitive Congolese population for Leopold and his acolytes, who had been running and plundering the Congo Free State to serve the monarch's personal fiefdom since 1884. To be fair, it's likely that Leopold II, a reasonably devout Catholic from Belgium, genuinely wanted to meet Jesus with his new property. But he accomplished this in the most brutal and literal way imaginable, by murdering a large number of them and making life miserable for the remainder as they toiled to find gold, hunt elephants for their ivory, and clear their native forests to make way for rubber cultivation all over the nation. Leopold II received the first funding for his humanitarian enterprise from the Belgian government, and once he repaid the loan, he received literally 100% of the profits. This wasn't a Belgian colony. One individual owned it, and he seemed intent to milk it dry while he still had the chance. In general, colonists must use some level of force to seize and keep control of the colonized, and the more aggressive and violent the colonist leaders must be to achieve their goals, the more abusive the local arrangements are. The Congo Free State established a new bar for cruelty during its 25-year existence that outraged even the other European colonial powers. Leopold made connections with regional rulers to strengthen his rather precarious position before the conquest began. Thibaut Tip, an Arab slave dealer, was foremost among them. Tip's organization had a major presence there and frequently shipped slaves and ivory to the coast of Zanzibar. As a result, Tip became Leopold II's rival, and any negotiations were problematic due to the Belgian king's stated intention to abolish slavery in Africa. Tip was eventually appointed as a province governor by Leopold II in return for his cooperation with the king's colonization of the western areas. Tip increased his slave selling and ivory hunting while in power, and Leopold II was under pressure from the largely anti-slavery European public to stop as a result. Finally, the monarch carried out this plan in the most damaging manner imaginable. He gathered an imposter battalion of Congolese mercenaries to battle Tip men throughout the heavily populated regions close to the Great Rift Valley. After a few years and an uncountable number of deaths, they had driven Tip and the other Arab slaveholders out of the country. Leopold II had complete authority as a result of the imperial double cross. Once his opponents were eliminated, King Leopold II reorganized his mercenaries into the brutal force of occupiers known as the Force Publique and began imposing his rule over the colony. With the help of their slave laborers, these governors efficiently stole Congo's natural resources. There was brutality on the rubber plantations. The upkeep of these facilities is labor-intensive, and commercial rubber tree growth isn't really feasible in an aged-grown jungle. It's a major job to clear that forest, which hinders the harvest and reduces profitability. The extent to which the masters of the Congo went in order to satisfy their insatiable avarice was without bounds. Leopold II set quotas for the production of raw commodities that were enforced on every man in his domain, similar to what Christopher Columbus had begun to do in Hispaniola 400 years before. Men who even once failed to fulfill their requirements for ivory and gold were subject to mutilation, with the extremities of the hands and feet becoming the two most often amputated body parts. The hands of the man's wife or kids would be severed if he could not be apprehended, or if he required both hands to labor. A level of suffering not witnessed since the Mongol conquest of Asia started to be inflicted by the king's abhorrent system. The Congo Free State, which was nearly triple as big as Texas, might have had as many as 20 million residents before colonization, although the exact number of inhabitants in 1885 is unknown. Eventually, news of the horror taking place in the Free State spread to other countries. In the United States, Great Britain, and the Netherlands, every one of which, ironically, held sizable rubber-producing territories of their respective nations, and were thus in rivalry with Leopold II for earnings, people screamed against the practices. The Republic of Congo continues to cope with the trauma that was directly brought on by King Leopold II's leadership, much like how adults struggle to get over a bad childhood. After the Europeans left, the fraudulent commissions and reward structure Belgium had instituted for colonial officials persisted, and the Congo has yet to have a trustworthy administration. Leopold II, King of Belgium, and for an extended period the wealthiest landowner in the world, passed away peacefully in December 1909, 44 years after his coronation as king. He is recognized for his substantial gifts to the country and the elegant buildings he personally funded. It's sarcastic how people who inflict so much cruelty are allowed a peaceful life and death. If you want to further hear more about the lives of the people like Bitio, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Let us know your suggestions and thoughts in the comments below.